All right, the Real Money Coach. We're glad that you're with us tonight. We had a little bit of difficulties, technical difficulties coming on, but we see that you guys are already in the flow. Listen, I got Brad Hudson from Huntersville, Dr. Bonita Harris from Charlotte, North Carolina, Alice Martin. Miss Martin is with us from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm so excited about tonight. I think I may be more excited about the guests we're having tonight than anyone we've had, because I just feel a connection with this gentleman that's going to be with us. And you guys are going to enjoy the story. You're going to enjoy hearing about him. His name is William Picard. And again, remember, what we're doing in these next few weeks is that we are having our mindset, a business mindset, a business owner mindset, because we know that there's certain mindsets that a business owner has, a mindset of survival, a mindset of how do I get through the hard times. And we want the guests, just like Corey Gould did in week one, just like Damian Johnson did last week. We want them to be real. We don't want to just hear all the good stuff. We want to hear, how did you get it through when they didn't like the color of your skin? How did you make it when everybody else was cussing you out? We want to know what it was like when venture capitalists wouldn't even talk to you. Did you have an angel donor, or how did you make it on little of nothing? So we want to know the real story. We want to be encouraged by the things that really took place, and we can learn from. And I think one of the things that I'm really excited about tonight is because this gentleman is I see him as an elder, much like Dr. Frazier. You guys know what my relationship is like with Dr. Frazier, and I do want to thank you all that were on the webinar with Dr. Frazier and I, and Marlon and Pastor Sean and everyone on Tuesday. We had two great webinars about the WINS program. And I see we got Euro Day from Boston, Massachusetts is on with us as well. And so I thank you guys for doing that. And if you're in a city, just shout out, put it in the chat box so that we know where you're coming from, so that we know who's here from coast to coast. And so we're just excited about this business owner mindset. And I think it's so important. Even if you work for someone else, you want to have a business owner mindset. I mean, I think it's Martin Luther King that said this. He said, when you sweep floor, you ought to sweep the floor as Maya Angelou painted a painting. You want to do everything, whatever you do it with excellence. Dr. Frazier says, if you do it with excellence, you don't have to chase money, because if you do it with excellence, money will chase you. And so we want to be chased by some money. And so we're just so excited. Here we got Cassandra's with us tonight. Miss Ruth Bell is with us tonight. And so we really appreciate your viewership. We appreciate you coming in and just being with us each and every Thursday at 8 p.m. on The Real Money Coach. Let me tell you, tonight, I'm the Lone Ranger. I'm the sole guy on here today. What I'm saying is Marlon Smith is not going to be able to be with us. As you guys know, we've had storms come through. We had storms come through Charlotte. And so Marlon is without power. And so you guys have just this Real Money Coach tonight. And we want to thank Jeff. He's here from Stone Mountain, Georgia. And so it's just so awesome to see how broad our reach has gone. Now, I want to ask you this. I want to ask you, what are some of the key things? Give me some key words that you think are important in a business owner's mindset. I want to kind of get some feedback from you guys. Put in the chat box, what do you think a business owner mindset is? A business owner mindset. What are some key traits do you think that a business owner should have? Welcome, Pam. Glad to have you. Carrie is in Australia. She's in Australia. So we have someone even from another continent. I love it. All the way from Australia. Carrie, thank you for being with us. And she's with us so often on Thursday nights. And so I do want to let you know Marlon's fine. He's okay. Carrie said to be a business owner mindset, you got to have a customer focus. You got to be customer focused. solution focus. Jerome is with us from DC. I saw that. Cassandra said you got to be a decision maker. What about risk taker? Hard work. Listen, Elisa said, I like that. Elisa, she said hard work, tenacity, and visionary. For y'all don't know, that's my wife, okay? That's my girl, okay? For 28 years, we'll celebrate on Saturday. So having tenacity, hard work, leadership skills, financial skills. I like that, Jeff. Jeff says financial skills. And it's early on Friday morning already in Australia. Love it. So, so we're very, very excited about what we have coming today. And, we're courage. Carrie said courage. You got to have courage to be a business owner. And so I think those are wonderful things. And I know our guest tonight, Mr. Pickard, Dr. William Pickard has written a book, and it's called Millionaire Moves. And he laid out 7 things in Millionaire Moves. And maybe tonight he'll get a chance to even talk about some of those 7 things. But I'm really, really excited just to learn and glean from him. I've always been one that would sit down and learn from our elders. And when you have someone who has made it and been successful, that's so important. Euro Day said you must have a spirit of excellence and faith to work hard through the difficult times. Management and people skills. Man, we're getting a lot of things. We're getting a good list here. We're getting a good list. And, we were thinking about this. We were talking about the Bible even last week. And we said, faith without works is dead. That's in the word. Faith without works is dead. And then I posed this question. Well, if faith without works is dead, then wouldn't the opposite be true too? So works without faith is dead? Don't you have to have some faith in yourself? Don't you have to have some faith in what you're doing, your skills, your ability to deliver on the deliverables, to keep the promises and all those type of things? So I think all of that comes together. And I think, when we get done, man, we have a conference going on. We had a book going on. This thing, when we get all these great business minds together, wow. And what I love about it is we really have come in with some diversity of thought. So we have Corey Vu that came on the first night. And Corey Vu is Asian, and he gave his perspective, and he talked about being in the refugee camp and all those things and the challenges with that. And then we had Damien, who's a younger guy, right? So he's a younger guy. He talks about how they made it through and how they went through foreclosure and how they lost a lot of employees when they transitioned to a better system. He talked about how Mr. Dudley, how Mr. Joe Dudley mentored him. And tonight we have an elder statesman that's coming. And I'll tell you what, I've tried to latch on to this guy because I think he's just wonderful. And I'm not just saying that because he went to one of the best schools in the country. I'm not saying that because he's a Western Michigan Bronco. I'm just saying that because this guy just impressed me from the very time I met him. And so I am not going to belabor it any longer. I'm going to bring on the screen with us Dr. William Pickard. Dr. Pickard, how are you tonight?
Fantastic.
Man, it is good to have you with us tonight. And I see for you gentlemen and you folks out there who are alphas, he's got his alpha hat on tonight.
And just left the gym. Just left the gym.
Listen, Dr. Pickard, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but he's talking about he just left the gym.
I'm 79 years young.
79 years old, and he just left the gym. Man, come on. I know.
By the way, I'm working on the biggest deal of my life right now.
Working on the biggest deal of his life. Dr. Pickard, I got to do this. I got to tell you, you probably don't remember this, but I got to tell you when I first met you. And you mentioned that George introduced us in 2018.
Yes, sir.
And this was actually at PNC, probably maybe about the year before that or something like that. But what happened was we were at PNC in Baltimore down at the harbor. Remember he had 2 years down there?
Okay.
And we had a booth there outside of the main hall.
Okay.
And what happened was I was out there at our booth, kind of straightening things around, making it, look presentable. And you came walking through the convention hall. You had a t-shirt on, you had some jeans, tennis shoes, and you had a hat. I think the hat said Detroit on it.
Probably
And
did. Probably did.
for me, and I went up to you and I said, you came through. I said, I'm gonna talk to him. I mean, there was no one in the hallway. You were walking by, and I stopped you and I said, "Oh, what do you know about Detroit?" And then you started talking about Detroit, and we just laughed and had a good time. We talked, and then and I was like, "Oh, that was pretty cool. I met someone new, today, whatever." And then I walk into the room the next day, and you're on the millionaire panel. I'm like, that's the guy I just talked to. But you never looked, you never, had your nose up in the air. You were just down to earth. You didn't know me from Joe Blow. I didn't know you, but I just stopped and I just stopped you as you walking by, had a conversation with you. You engaged with me. And then when I saw you on stage the next day, that really impressed me because you could have kept on walking, and not even engage conversation with me. And then I found out that you went to Western Michigan University. I don't know if you lived in Henry Hall or Hokie or wherever you were, but I know that they renamed that place, right? They renamed that after you and Dennis Archer and all that kind of stuff. And so, but that's when I first met you. And even after you spoke, I went and you gave me your cell phone number, and I haven't lost it. Next time I misplace it, George gave it back to me. It's engraved in my phone now. So welcome to the Real Money Coach.
Small world, small world, small world.
It is a small world. It is a small world. What I'd like to do tonight really is I'd like to hear a little bit about your story. I know you went to Western, and then you went on to U of M. Everybody on the call knows I'm a big U of M fan. And then for some reason you went to Ohio State and got a PhD. I don't understand that. I'll figure that out later. But but I just want to hear
God is able.
Your story. And are you originally from Flint? Is that what I remember?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
I'm originally from a little town called LaGrange, Georgia.
LaGrange. Absolutely. I heard of it.
LaGrange is 60 minutes from Atlanta by telephone. A little bit of town. but we produce great black men.
Wow. Well, I've met some people from LaGrange. I didn't realize you were from there. So tell me a little bit about you. How did your career start and all that type of thing?
Okay, when I was 13, we moved from down south to up south. We moved from LaGrange to Flint, Michigan. And, a typical family. My dad was working in the Chevrolet plant in Flint. In those days, that would have been about 1958, 59. Everybody who could breathe had a job, a good job. And by the way, during those eras of the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, blacks in Michigan had the highest home ownership among blacks in America. Blacks in Michigan had the highest per capita savings of blacks in America. Blacks in Michigan had the second highest annual income of blacks in America. Washington, D.C. was first. So in many respects, again, it was the tale of two cities. Some black people were doing extremely well, working in Chevrolet, Buick, Ford, Motor, Chrysler every day, making some of the highest average wages in America, and yet can't buy a home in a non-zip code area. Yet can't get bank financing to buy a home, but you can get bank financing to buy a Cadillac or a Lincoln. So these are the ironies of America, that in spite of all of the possibilities, we have historically dealt with these limitations, not imposed by us, but imposed by the system in which we live. So, I'm a child of the 60s. I got caught up in the black thing very early. It shaped my life tremendously. I tell people all the time, I is not a businessman. I is a social worker. I have a PhD and a master's in social work. So I believe strongly that one of my responsibilities is to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfort. But I was very fortunate in life when I was 26 years of age, living in Cleveland, working for the Urban League. One night I went to hear Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike said, the best way to help poor people, don't be one. So I quickly decided that I had to do something other than social work. And it was a time of affirmative action. So I stumbled into a PhD program at Ohio State, working at a McDonald's on High Street, the campus. A guy walks in and says to me, hey, they tell me you're from Detroit. I said, yes, sir. He says, we're going to put some blacks in McDonald's in Detroit. Do you know anyone? I gave him Bill Pickard, Dennis Archer, and Raymond Snow, my fraternity brothers who all lived in Detroit at that time. So at 28 years of age, I was blessed to become one of the first blacks to own McDonald's. We had one restaurant and 3 partners. So you know that you're not gonna get rich out of that deal. But that is basically my story, man, that I have been blessed to come up in the era of the black stuff. I have been blessed to benefit from affirmative action. And I don't apologize it, but we have about 4,000 employees, and we are intentional about helping and hiring and promoting black folk. Of course, we also promote and hire white folks. Our companies are in 8 different cities of America, from Detroit, Michigan, to Birmingham, Alabama, to Canada. So I have been terribly blessed. I don't have an MBA. I don't have a degree in engineering. And I tell all my people, y'all can beat me figuring. You know, y'all can beat me counting, but you can't beat me figuring. So I believe that it takes a variety of people to work together with a common goal and a common mission. And I'm very happy to say that I am economically, financially set for life. But I have moved back to Detroit in the middle of the autumn of the year, which is July, August, and September. I'm normally in Florida because I have an idea that we're working on. We're going to create 5,000 jobs for black folks in Detroit. And this is my legacy. This is my passion. And I have enough money to do whatever I want to do, but we're going to do this deal. And you'll hear about it hopefully in the next 3 weeks when we announce it. And it is just uplifting, Tony, to know that my friend of 50 years, George Frazier, is still inspiring people and encouraging people that we all are capable of doing 9 times more than we are doing today. We all have been blessed by God with a gift that no one else in the world has. I mean, look at George Frazier. My God. Yeah, George has just done so much in his life, inspired so many people. And I believe very strongly that all of us has a unique gift from God. And your responsibility is to say, you know what? I don't look like Denzel Washington. I can't play basketball like Michael Jordan. But I am what I am, and I got what I got, and I got to go to work. And I tell people all the time, you might be smarter than me, but you will not outwork me. And working doesn't necessarily mean grunting, groaning all day. It means thinking. Thinking, Tony. Frederick Douglass said that without wealth, there's no time to think. And if you don't think, you don't have enough leisure time to maximize your thinking. So I believe that God has permitted me in the last 4 or 5 months during this pandemic that I'm sitting in Florida every day in my home just thinking about what can I do and what can we do collectively. And I don't mind telling you, God put this on me as clear as a blue sky. Wow. When I called my posse and said, guys, we got to go to work. They said, Pick, we can do it, but you got to come back to Michigan. So here I am, Tony, and I'll be here until September.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, because you're 28 years old and you own a McDonald's. And
A third of a McDonald's.
a part of McDonald's. You're a partner in the McDonald's. How did you guys do that? How did you raise the capital? I know it was probably at a time when Coleman Young was probably the mayor at the time.
That's right. Coleman Young. Well, you know, the thing about money, man, money destroys creativity. I've done billion-dollar deals, and I don't think I've ever put more than a couple of $1 million into the deal. For example, people say, man, how would you get a PhD and you had enough money to go start a McDonald's? Well, you needed $8,000, 333 cents, because it took 3 people to have $25,000. So I went to an alpha meeting at Ohio State University on a Sunday. It was a Kappa chapter at the Student Center. I said, is anybody in here who works in financial aid? They said, yeah, man, Brother John Hall works in financial aid. So I went over and talked to him and said, hey, man, I need to borrow $10,000. He said, you got any student debt? I said, no, man, I'm on a PhD fellowship. He said, meet me in my office at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. He gave me $10,000. He loaned me $10,000. I took that $10,000 and I invested in the first McDonald's. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. If I had gotten that much money when I was 18, I'd have bought me a Cadillac in Flint. But I had learned by then, a car don't mean nothing. A car doesn't mean very much to me. So the 3 of us put together $25,000 and we got 1 McDonald's. Then we got 2. Then we got 3. Then we had 5. Then we had 6. And then my best friend in the world, I'm the only child, my best friend in the world died of a heart attack. He died at 43. So we divide the business up. I take 3 stores, the other guy take 3 stores, and the rest is history. Me and God just went to work.
Wow.
And I went from one deal to another deal. And one of the principles in my book, Tony, is relationships. Relationships. George Fraser talked about networking, and black folks and white folks and networking. That's brown nosing. No. If you don't network, you might not work. So
Wow.
every deal I have ever done, I can point to a person or persons that put me in that deal. And I'm gonna bore you really quickly about casinos. I am the co-managing partner of the MGM Casino in Detroit, Michigan. That's the best investment in my portfolio. So people say, man, how in the world did you become co-managing partner of the MGM Casino in Detroit? I said, well, you won't believe it if I told you, because it sounds like something out of the movies. Well, I went to Western Michigan University. I lived in Ellsworth Hall for a year. Then the money ran out, and I moved to what we call Vandercook, which was known as Hungry Hall. When I went to Hungry Hall, I had a roommate named Dennis Wayne Archer. Dennis Wayne Archer was a major in special ed, and I was a major in social work. We were both solid C students. I mean, strong C students. I graduated and went down to University of Michigan, got a master's in social work. Then I went on to Cleveland and left there and went to Ohio State, then came back to Detroit with a few McDonald's. Dennis Wayne Archer becomes mayor of the city of Detroit.
Right.
My roommate becomes mayor. He's a Democrat. I is a colored Republican. So one day I get a phone call. My name is blank blank. I am the vice president of MGM Casinos, and we're going to bid on the casino project in Detroit. And we asked Mayor Archer for a name of a person that could be our local partner. And he suggested we call you. I started singing, we shall overcome. We shall over. Seriously, Tony, that's how it happened. Nobody will believe it. But that's what happened. So God is able. You got to work hard. You got to do everything you can to be in the right place at the right time. But relationships are key. Tony, much like I met you, that's how I meet most people. I don't walk around with this and that and no flashy stuff. That ain't nothing wrong with it, but ain't how I roll. I roll just like you saw me that day and just like I am tonight. And God has been good to me, and I try to be a good steward of the blessings.
Wow.
I'm through.
That's
what you want to know?
Amazing story. I knew that the MGM had something to do with Dennis Archer, and of course, being a Western alumni, I was very familiar with Dennis Archer because he, was Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, and then mayor of Detroit, and really he really, to me, much of what the success you're seeing in Detroit now started under Dennis Archer's leadership. But there's another story you told that about, and this is more related to your auto supplier business. And how did you get into the business of being an auto supplier? And I'm imagining part of your business that's kind of globally located.
Well, again, relationships. I guess I had gotten my best friend died. We divided up the business, and I guess I had 8 McDonald's. I had a home in Florida, and my mama's okay, and my girlfriend's okay, and I got restless. I wanted to do something different. And there was a guy in Detroit named Mel Farr, the superstar. He made these commercials flying through the air like Superman. And he owned about 4 or 5 Ford dealerships. I said, now, I don't want to make no commercial. I don't want nobody to know I got money. I don't need to do that. But I want to get me a Lincoln Mercury dealership in Tampa, Florida, because that's where my winter home was. So I went to Dr. Francis Albert Cornegay, who was the head of the Detroit Urban League. Dr. Cornegay was a good alpha man, and I was on his board, and I chaired his compensation committee, and I always took care of it. I said, Dr. Cornegay, I'd like to get a Lincoln Mercury dealership. Can you get me a meeting with Mr. Henry Ford? Yeah, I can do that. But you got to come to the meetings on time, and you got to make sure that I'm taken care of for my retirement coming. I said, Doc, I got you. And I'm not lying, Tony. Maybe 4 months later, he called me and said, hey, Henry's in town for the board meeting, and we got an appointment with him tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Wash that old dirty car and put on a shirt and tie and come on, pick me up and be on time. Don't you dare be late. I said, Mr. Cornegay, I will not be late. Tony, nobody believes this. I pick up Dr. Cornegay. We go all the way to Dearborn to the Ford Motor to the Glass House. We go up to Henry Ford's private dining room. Now, you know, I ain't never been nowhere like that, man. And so Francis says, Henry, this is my fraternity brother. He got 6 or 7 of them hamburger stands, but he wants to be a dealer. This is an honest God truth. Mr. Ford said, a dealer? I don't need any dealers. I need black suppliers. When I left his office, Tony, I had 2 applications. One to be a dealer and one to be a supplier. Thank God I chose to be a supplier. That was how I did it. I bought my first company out of bankruptcy. And now we have over $500 million in sales, 4,000 employees. We got 8 plants all over America and Canada. And I ain't no engineer. I ain't no manufacturing guy. I ain't no accountant. But I put it all together.
Wow.
And it just, once again, when God gives you the vision, he will also give you the provision to achieve the vision. So I don't make any apologies about my deep and abiding faith. And I know what I can do, and I know what I can't do. And I try to surround myself with people who are much smarter than I am. And so far, so good.
They say if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to a different room.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, wow, those are, to me, are just a couple of amazing stories in terms of, like you said, relationships and being in the moment. You know, because what I see here too is you could have been there at with Henry Ford. You could have been intimidated. You could have not taken, because I think sometimes we don't take action. We don't take risk. We play it safe. Um, and I get the sense that you didn't necessarily play it safe to get where you are, because there's obviously some risk in being on that bid with the MGM to with the McDonald's and the student loan, and also being an auto supplier. But another thing that impressed me about you is your giving to I think it's the African American Museum there in Detroit. I think you also did something in DC. Tell us a little bit about why you continue to give the way you do.
Well, Tony, man, Black people have just put me on their shoulders and carried me. Now, I'm a Republican. Now, obviously, I got more sense to deal with this guy. But remember this. I'm in Detroit, Michigan. I'm 28, 29, 30 years old. I'm a black Republican in a Democratic town. Coleman Young is mayor. And nobody ever said to me, I will not help you. I will not give you advice because you're a Baptist or a Republican or because you're fat and short. Nobody. Those
Hmm.
people help me every day of my life, man. So I am terribly whatever I can to uplift our community and especially Detroit. And the deal that we're working on now, I tell you, Tony, I am so excited, man. I wake up in the morning and I told one of my Tony, we're working. God gave me an idea, man, that's just unbelievable. And all day today, when you called me the other day, man, you called me, I think, at 11 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I was in bed, back in the bed, because I've been up all night thinking about it and just getting this thing together. And we're going to create 5,000 jobs in Detroit, not in the suburbs, in Detroit, for Black people
In the
and
city.
white people,
Yeah.
but primarily Black people. And this, I'm all fired up, man. I'm all fired up.
Well, and I think that's awesome. Your sense of giving back, and I love the fact that and of course Michael V. Roberts, and he opened redid the Omni Hotel and reopened that in Detroit. To see that investment come back to the city, the Charles Wright Museum, and those types of things, and so. I know that you've done a lot in terms of giving to universities and that type of thing, even to our alma mater. You've given some money back to Western and those type of things. So obviously, education is something else that's seems to be important to you.
Changed my life. And I'm bragging that, but my cousin and I just gave $2 million to Morehouse. And we selected 4 cities: Detroit, Michigan; Flint, Michigan; Cincinnati, Ohio, where his McDonald's are. My cousin has 15 McDonald's. There were 7 of us from my family in McDonald's. I have brought 22 Black families during my career in McDonald's. I've been in McDonald's 50 years as of March 14th, 2021. Of course, I was only 3 when I started, but man, McDonald's made a difference in our lives. And so, yes, I give and I share my blessings. My daughter is a proud graduate of Spelman. She just received a law degree and she's now a lawyer here in Detroit. So God has been good to us, man. And my responsibility is to help. Um, I mean, I got 4 or 5 homes. How many can I live in at one time? I've almost been bankrupt, brother. I mean, bankrupt, brother. And yet, God and Black folks pulled me out the fire. And you read my book, that one of my principles is failure.
Yes.
And I say all the
Principle
time,
number 6.
failure is never fatal and success is never final.
And what I love about it, and looking at the book, you put failure as principle number 6, but right behind that comes faith.
Yes, sir.
And as you read that, and
Big time.
I'll just read it for our viewers. Principle 1 is vision and attitude. Principle 2, opportunity.
You'll never be what you cannot see. Yep.
You'll never be what you cannot see. Principle number 2 is opportunity.
Yep.
And number 3 is finance. Principle 4.
You got it down pat, man.
You got principle 4 that you spoke about is relationship. And then we got talent, skill is number 5, and then failure and faith. And what really got me was the failure and faith. And to me, and what I'm seeing in that is I don't think that order was by accident, because if we don't fail, your faith will never get tested if everything works smoothly for you all the time. If everything is always peachy.
If you ain't been tested, you cannot testify.
That's right. So tonight, what I want to ask you is this: what and we have people all over, and we're getting some great comments. Ruth Bell said you got an awesome story. Euro Day from Boston, Massachusetts says this is truly amazing. Alice Martin said, my learning tonight, quality of successful business person. Surround yourself with the right people, seek and follow God for the vision. And Jeffrey Henderson asked me the name of the book, and the name of the book is Millionaire Moves. Millionaire Moves, 7 proven principles for entrepreneurship. So it's Millionaire Moves, 7 principles for entrepreneurship. Name of the book, perhaps Chris could put that up on the screen for us. Millionaire Moves, 7 principles of entrepreneurship. And so what I want to ask you is just real quickly is what advice would you give a young business person? I read an article the other day. It talked about, don't let capitalists stop you. And sometimes I think hurdles sometimes can derail us. What advice would you give us about getting through the hurdles? What advice would you give us tonight if I'm a young business person starting a brand new business? Maybe this business, maybe it's called the Real Money Coach. I don't know. What advice would you give our audience tonight for those people who are new in their business or just starting off? What advice tonight? I don't know if you lost me.
Well, everyone in this game, and that's what it is, by the way, a game of life. In this game of life, LIFE, failure is a natural part of life. There are going to be times that you fail. You just have to do what Denzel Washington recommends, just get up to do. I would recommend to anyone basically 2 or 3 things. Your own business, okay, just get started. If you work for someone else, get you what my grandfather called 2-arm living. He said you have 1 arm working for somebody else, but 1 arm should be working for yourself. So you got to get started. Be very minor. It can be selling Mary Kay. It can be, but get started. Because that mindset of entrepreneur or being in business for myself is critical. Because if you don't ever see yourself that all your life, you can never be independent with dependent thinking. Check every week. But secondly, be prepared for realities of life, and that is failure. Get up and go at it again. And number three, surround yourself with positive, like-minded people. I tell young brothers, I say, hey man, a brother with dreams better find him a sister with vision, because black women are on it. Women, period, are on it. So your dream, like you have for 28 years with a visionary sister, oh my God. Now, that's one part of life that I didn't master, unfortunately. But I can tell you this, I believe a team will always beat an individual. That's what I believe. So I would say get started, be prepared for the bumps, the disruptions in life, and surround yourself with like-minded people who have a shared vision of the future.
Wow, that's good. Now, Dr. Picard, the next 2 times or 3 times, I'm gonna give you credit for this. You can never be independent with dependent thinking. Now, when I quote that again, I'm gonna say Dr. Picard. Then the next time I quote it, I'm gonna say somebody I know. So, the third time, I'm like, I've always said you can't be independent with dependent thinking. Love it. I love it. I love that. I love that.
We all borrow from each other. We all borrow.
We do. We do. I'm very excited. I can't wait to hear about the breaking news coming out of Detroit. You have been a blessing to the city,
Brother.
and I know that you. And this is not the first time I've heard you talk about how the city has been a blessing to you, and I think that's so important, because sometimes we can get so caught up in this or that, and woe is me, and we can get caught up in these people this or these people that, and the economy and all that stuff that we see in the news. But the reality is there's some really good folk all over this world, and that will help you if they see you doing something positive. And I think, what do they say? You will become like the 7 people that you're around the most. And so I love all that you're sharing tonight. And, and just our comments here, great surround yourself with like-minded people. I think work ethic is always a big thing in there as well. And so this has just been a real blessing tonight, just to hear some of what you said. And to me, it's amazing to hear you tell that story about Henry Ford, and how you sat in the private dining room and spoke with Henry Ford himself. And we think about him as the great manufacturer and entrepreneur. And you've done so much. You've done so much. And you're 29 years old and you're working on the biggest deal of your life. I mean, that's amazing. Where do you get the energy from? How do you do it? How do you do it? And so I think that's really awesome. I do want to open it up. If anyone has any questions for Dr. Picard, please put them in the chat box. We have a few minutes left. We got 9 minutes left, and then we're going to be signing off. Let him get some rest, because it sounds like he's been up early, got things percolating in that mind. So if there's any questions at all, just put those through there. So Dr. Picard, if you talk about that we make mistakes, there's failures. Can you share one of those with us? I mean, one decision that you made that maybe you've regretted?
Well, ironically, on my book tour, I would oftentimes get the question, what is your biggest regret of your journey? And without even thinking about it, I said, I did not dream big enough.
Wow.
I'm not a great risk taker. I didn't dream big enough. So now, at this moment, thing I've ever done. So God is going to permit me to do this, and I won't have to say that I didn't dream big enough, because this is a big one, brother, and we're going to get it done.
It
We are
sounds
going
like
to get
it's
it done.
big. It sounds like it's awfully big. Wow. Wow, that is awesome. That's awesome. Dream big. Dream big. Think big. That is great. So listen, any last parting words for us tonight? Anything you'd like to just share? I want to say this. I want to say a few things. I appreciate you coming on, and I know you're in the middle of transitioning. You came up to Detroit. He listen. Dr. Picard was so determined to be with us tonight. He's in his house. There's no internet in there, but he said that he was going to come with us anyway. And I think if we, we've had, the crackling and all that kind of stuff. But if you listen tonight, you got some chunks of wisdom. You got some inspiration tonight. And so when we at the Real Money Coach, what we want to do is we want to bring information that is relevant. We want to bring information that is educational, actionable, and life-changing. And I think we've done that tonight. I think we've learned some things. I really recommend the book, Millionaire Moves: 7 Principles of Entrepreneurship. And so really, I'm just very thankful, and I just feel this connection with Dr. Picard because of how I met him. And it was a lesson for me because I've read the book Millionaire Next Door. And they talk about how you never know the person you're talking to. The Bible says you never know, you may be entertaining angels. But the millionaire next door, and that was really my own life experience with meeting the millionaire next door. It's because I didn't know that he had $1 million. I didn't know, I never knew him until that moment. And then when I saw him on stage, and then we were able to take some pictures together. I saw him the next year, and I'll tell you what, Dr. Picard is who he says he is. Because I was at Atlanta, Georgia. I was on campus. We were going through some issues with financial aid and all this kind of stuff. The normal, school, getting back to school, HBCU, and all of that. And he happened to, I had maybe texted him or called him, and he happened to call me back, and I was on campus. And he told me, again, relationships. He said, he mentioned a name, Mr. Euclid, and he tell them that. And do you believe that doors started coming open? They were inviting me to sit down at the conference room table and all these type of things. And again, it was because of relationship. And even, when I picked him up and picked up the phone to call him and asked him to be a guest on our show, he didn't hesitate. He didn't hesitate to say yes. He said yes right away. And lo and behold, here we are, less than 2 weeks later, and he's on the show. And so I'm very, very happy to have met him, and I can't wait to see the big things that's coming. And so we want everyone listening tonight, we want you to have that entrepreneur mindset. We want you to have the business owner mindset and that's a mindset that says, I will get it done. It's like, I'm not going to make excuses And when you're a business owner, the only person you can make excuses to is yourself. There's no boss. There's no one but you. And so you have to look yourself in the mirror. You have to look yourself in the mirror and you have to stand before God and say, did I do everything that I could do? Did I give my best effort? Did I extend myself? Are you willing to work harder for someone else than to work for yourself? And so we are very, very happy. What Carrie says, update us on that amazing project that Dr. William is doing. So what I'm going to ask Dr. Picard to do, what I'm going to ask him to do is when it all hits, to come back and let us know about the biggest deal of your lifetime. Share with us again. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to look at I'm down here in Charlotte, but I don't have to pay attention to the Detroit Free Press so I can see what's going on in my home in my home state. And so we're just gonna ask you to come back once that all hits and share with us that story. And so again, I thank you for being with us tonight. I want to give you a chance to say one more thing before we end the broadcast. But again, thank you for being here. And last parting words, sir. Looks like that's going to come from me. So great. So thank you guys for staying with us and hanging with us through our technical difficulties. And I know Marlon wasn't able to be with us tonight. And so because of the storm and no internet and all those type of things. And so we're really happy to have had Dr. Picard with us. I'm happy to have you all with us tonight. So keep coming, keep being a part of the Real Money Coach. And we're going to bring you this type of programming every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on the Real Money Coach. So with that, I say thank you and have a wonderful night. God bless you.